the janitor was never supposed to save the company. At least, that's what everyone believed the night Ethan Brooks quietly pushed his mop cart down the polished hallway of a towering office building in Chicago, Illinois. To the people who worked there, he was invisible, just another night cleaner hired to wipe fingerprints off glass walls and empty trash cans after everyone important had gone home. But that night, something happened that would change everything. Before the story begins, take a second and show a little kindness. If you believe in second chances and in the quiet strength of people who never give up, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that sometimes the people we overlook are the ones who change everything. Ethan Brooks had never imagined his life would look like this. Just 2 years earlier, he had been working as a maintenance technician at a small manufacturing plant outside Cleveland, Ohio. The job wasn't glamorous, but it paid enough to support his little daughter Hannah, whose bright laugh made every exhausting day worth it. Ethan had always been good with machines. Give him a broken motor or a stubborn piece of equipment, and he could usually figure out what was wrong. It was a skill he learned from his father, a quiet mechanic who believed that every problem had a solution if you were patient enough to look. But life doesn't always follow the plans we make. When the factory shut down unexpectedly, hundreds of workers lost their jobs overnight. Ethan tried everything to stay afloat. He worked temporary repair jobs, drove deliveries, and even sold some of the few things he owned just to keep food on the table. Then tragedy struck again. Hannah's mother, Rachel, who had been battling a long illness, passed away. Suddenly, Ethan wasn't just struggling financially, he was raising a 6-year-old girl completely on his own. Bills piled up faster than he could pay them. Rent, medical expenses, school supplies. There were nights when Ethan sat quietly at the kitchen table long after Hannah had gone to sleep, staring at numbers that simply didn't add up. Eventually, he made the hardest decision of his life. He moved to Chicago for a fresh start, hoping the bigger city would offer more opportunities. But finding steady work proved harder than he imagined. Employers looked at his resume and saw a man whose last job had vanished with a closed factory. Finally, a janitorial company offered him a night cleaning position inside a large tech corporation downtown. The pay was modest. The hours were long, but it was work. Every evening after tucking Hannah into bed at the small apartment they rented, they would sit down together to watch a movie. Ethan would leave her with their elderly neighbor, Mrs. Walters, and walk 3 blocks to catch the late bus downtown. While the city slept, Ethan cleaned. He vacuumed conference rooms where million-dollar deals were discussed during the day. He wiped desks belonging to executives who never noticed the man making their workspace spotless each night. He polished glass doors that reflected his tired eyes back at him. Still, Ethan never complained. Because every morning when he returned home, Hannah would run into his arms, asking if they could eat pancakes or watch cartoons before school. Those simple moments reminded him why he kept going. Weeks passed quietly, until one night, something unusual caught Ethan's attention. As he pushed his cart through the building's lower server corridor, he noticed a faint flickering light near one of the massive cooling units that kept the company's data systems running. The sound was subtle, a strained, uneven hum most people would have ignored. But Ethan had spent his life around machines. He knew that sound meant trouble. At first, he hesitated. Fixing equipment wasn't part of his job anymore. He was just the janitor. But something inside him refused to walk away. Carefully, Ethan knelt beside the unit and removed a loose panel that had been rattling against the frame. Inside, he spotted the issue almost immediately, a cooling fan misaligned and grinding against its housing. If it failed completely, the overheating servers could shut down half the building's systems. Anyone with authority should have been there, but no one was. So Ethan did what he had always done. He fixed it. Using a small multi-tool he carried from his old maintenance days, Ethan adjusted the fan mount, tightened the loose bolts, and cleaned the dust clogging the airflow vents. Within minutes, the strained humming softened into a smooth, steady rhythm. He replaced the panel and stood up, brushing dust from his hands. To him, it was nothing extraordinary. Just another machine that needed a little patience. What Ethan didn't know was that someone had been watching. Standing at the far end of the corridor was Jonathan Carter, the company's CEO. A tall, composed man known throughout the industry for his sharp instincts and relentless work ethic. Jonathan had returned to the office late that night, after noticing unusual system alerts on his phone. What he expected to find was a technical team scrambling to fix a problem. Instead, he saw the janitor solving it alone. Jonathan walked forward slowly, studying the man standing beside the cooling unit. Ethan froze for a moment, worried he had done something wrong. But the CEO's expression wasn't angry. It was curious. Jonathan asked Ethan what he had just done. Ethan explained simply, almost apologetically, that the cooling fan had slipped and needed adjustment. He mentioned his background in maintenance as if it were a minor detail. Jonathan listened carefully, because what Ethan had just prevented was a potential system failure that could have cost the company millions of dollars. Yet the man who solved it wasn't an engineer. He was pushing a mop cart. Over the next few days, Jonathan quietly asked around about Ethan. What he learned surprised him even more. Employees mentioned that the janitor often noticed small issues before anyone else did. A faulty door sensor, a loose electrical panel, a leaking pipe in the break room ceiling. Problems that maintenance teams sometimes overlooked. Ethan never bragged. He simply fixed what he could. The following week, Ethan was called into a conference room after his shift ended. Sitting at the table were Jonathan Carter and several department managers. Ethan assumed he was about to be reprimanded. Instead, Jonathan thanked him. Then he offered him something Ethan never expected: a full-time position on the company's facilities engineering team. The salary was more than double what Ethan had been earning as a janitor. It included benefits, stable hours, and something he hadn't felt in a long time: dignity. Ethan sat silently for a moment, struggling to process what was happening. For the first time in years, the weight on his shoulders felt lighter. Within months, Ethan became known across the building not as the janitor, but as the man who could solve problems no one else could figure out. His calm focus and quiet determination earned respect from engineers and executives alike. But the biggest change wasn't at work. It was at home. Now Ethan could afford better schooling for Hannah. Their tiny apartment slowly filled with laughter instead of worry. Weekend trips to the park replaced long nights of exhaustion. One evening, as Ethan helped Hannah with her homework at the kitchen table, she looked up and asked a simple question. "Daddy, are we going to be okay now?" Ethan smiled and hugged her tightly. "Yes," he whispered. "We are." Because sometimes life doesn't change through loud moments or grand announcements. Sometimes everything shifts because one tired man refuses to ignore a small problem in a quiet hallway. Before this story ends, here's a special request for you. In the comments, write the word hope. Let's fill the comments section with hope for every parent out there who is struggling but refuses to give up. And if this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like the video, comment, share it with someone who might need encouragement today, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more stories like this to life. Because somewhere tonight, another father like Ethan is working quietly in the background, and the world has no idea yet how much he's capable of.